Oh, this is like about take 10 of this video. I'm laughing my head off because my husband just walked into the studio and let rip with an expletive about how cold it is out there. And I went, okay, delete that video. So he's promised he's not going to cuss out the cold weather. Anyhow, I am the author of The Woven Bag, and it's wonderful. And you can get it from your online bookseller or your local bookseller or all manner of wonderful places. Today, I'm going to show you how to weave rectangles or narrow strips on the potholder loom. Now, by the way, this is woven with fabric strips. I really don't like those looper thingies. I mean, yarn is gorgeous, fabric's gorgeous. I don't like the looper things. Use yarn, it's better. Now, I'm going to use, this is Lion Cotton. I think it's in Wedgwood, and is the color. Now, when I'm working with yarn that has a paint or a, self-patterning, and I'm working with 2 strands, because working on the potholder loom, I do prefer to work with 2 strands, especially with sport weight. If it's bulky, then you can use 1 strand. But you can see what I've done is I've lined up the pattern on the yarn carefully so that both strands are pretty much at the same place. It's just a personal choice. You don't have to do it that way. Now, to start with making your rectangle or your narrow strip, you're going to tie your yarn onto the lower right-hand corner of the loom. Now, when you're warping the potholder loom, always warp very, very gently, very softly, loosely. Don't pull your warp tight, because it's going to make your square or rectangle just way too tight to weave at the top when you finally finish up your square. Not when you finally, but when you get there. Now, you can see I am going from the lower edge to the upper edge. I'm going to do that for 9 pegs. Now, I have already prepared this loom, and you can see I have used my magic trick of weaving in the chopstick, and I go under 4, over 4, across the loom. That means that half of my rows are going to be virtually instant, because I'm just going to zip my hook through there and I don't have to pick up each row as I go. Now, when I'm weaving, I like to end up with this row that I'm scooting along the chopstick as being the very last row. So I will alternate to make sure that the first row is the other shed. So I am going over 4, under 4, over, under, all the way across. Now, because I'm just weaving 9 of the pegs, it means I'm going to have the yarn folding over the last of the, excuse me, I have to reach into between the stand here, and it makes it a bit awkward. This edge is not going to have the pegs to guide it, so I'm going to have to go kind of softly with it. Now, I folded over my loop of yarn and placed it on the hook and glided it through. There, I'm not going to pull up too tightly because I want this edge to stay straight. I'm going to scooch along my chopstick. Don't have a chopstick, use a knitting needle or a dowel. There, I folded my loop, glide it through. Now, with your finger, kind of pull out on the edge, hold it down, pop your loop of yarn onto the next peg. Keep working your way across, repeating these 2 rows until you are at the very top of the loom. Again, hold on to this left-hand side so that you're not pulling it in. You don't want to have it bowing in. So by holding on to this edge, it's going to make a nice straight edge. It will pull in a little bit, but that's okay. you can see with this, with this sample, I've woven all the way to the top. So I'm going to pull the chopstick out, and now I'm going to finish my edge by chaining it off. I'm going to release this lower tie on. I'm going to lift first 2 pegs off, and that is my greyhound shaking his bling, all his tags, making a lovely jingle bell sound. So chaining is just lifting them off one at a time, working your way across until you have worked all the way up that right hand side, and then once you're at the top of the right hand side, you're going to work across the top of the loom and continue chaining. So I keep having to move around the stand, so it's a little bit awkward. When you're doing it in your lap, it really goes quickly, or on a tabletop. So I look kind of clumsy, but I'm not really. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to turn the corner. We're going to work across our upper edge again. Whoops, I dropped one loop at a time. Oh, bother. Silly old thing. Okay, there we go. And when we get to the, oh, it's so clumsy doing this in midair. When we get across to the yarn end, then we're going to pull this last loop through. Now we can lift off the loom, put it down, pull this end through. Now sometimes, depending on the yarn you use, you might want to continue chaining this edge, the left hand edge, down that side. I don't think you need to with the cotton, it's pretty firm. But what I will do is I'm going to take the lower edge and chain it back to the starting point. So here's how it came off the loom. I'm now going to turn it so that the lower edge is at the top, going to pick up that first loop and then chain across the lower edge to finish the rectangle. And once I get to the lower right hand corner, I will either work another chain into that last loop of the right hand side and pull the starting ends through, or else I will just pull it through without working that extra stitch. But there you have it, a gorgeous rectangle woven on the potholder loom. So come back and see me on my YouTube channel and at crone-findlay.com and at toddytalkscrafts.com. This is Noreen Crone-Findlay. Happy yarning. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.